Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So essentially the topic of today's video is whether or not Ted Cruz can actually lose the Texas Senate race. And the reason why I say it like that is because this is his race to lose. This is not the Democrats' chance at winning, because before, this race would always be rated as safe for the GOP because it is Texas. This is a state that Donald Trump won by around 8%. That doesn't seem like a lot, but still when it comes down to the House races and the governor races and the Senate elections, pretty much this is a Republican stronghold. And they have a Republican trifecta. And overall, right now, when we doesn't look too good for Ted Cruz either. Keep in mind, he's an incumbent. He won this state overwhelmingly in the Republican primary back in 2016, but he currently leads by 5.5%. Many people do cite examples from the 2016 election saying that the Donald Trump supporters are not too excited to vote for Ted Cruz. But to be completely honest with you, Donald Trump underperformed in the state of Texas, number one. He also underperformed compared to other southern states in the Republican primary. And sure, it's Ted Cruz's state, but this state isn't showing as many Republican tendencies as some others did. Iowa voted more for the GOP than the state of Texas did. So Texas is not one of these, in terms of presidential elections and in terms for Donald Trump, not a Republican stronghold for Donald Trump, but for Senate elections, it pretty much should be. Ted Cruz really shouldn't be suffering because of a Trump victory in 2016, mainly because a bunch of Trump supporters did not come from Texas. Many of them, Texas wasn't a state that was overwhelmingly voting for the president in polling data. There was a time where Texas was rated as a toss-up, and Trump only led by 3% against Clinton in Texas polling. So right now, Donald Trump probably isn't the reason Ted Cruz is doing too bad, and neither is Ted Cruz. His approval rating is 49%, and his disapproval rating is in the 30s. So again, and that's, I believe, around 10% or 12%, something around that number, where Ted Cruz has a higher approval rating than his disapproval rating, which is pretty much expected. Again, this is a Republican stronghold in terms of the Senate races, the House races, and the governor races, and the governor's races isn't really withering for the GOP either. The most recent poll taken, the same one that was taken with Ted Cruz, the NBC News poll right here that shows Ted Cruz leading by a mere 4%, shows the Republican candidate leading by 19%. So it's not that the GOP is just underperforming here overall throughout the entire state. It is something to do with Ted Cruz, but his approval ratings aren't showing that. Donald Trump wasn't that big of a factor in 2016, and neither will he will be in this race either. And it seems like it could possibly be Beto O'Rourke is actually a good candidate. And that seems something like, oh, a Democrat winning in Texas. It seemed laughable years ago. But now we are looking at changing demographics, where it comes down to a number of key areas. Yes, I do think that the Texas Senate race is still going to remain in the column for the GOP. I do expect Ted Cruz to win this Senate race at the end of the day, but new polling numbers that suggest the race getting even closer than it already was is not a good sign for Ted Cruz whatsoever. The most recent poll before the August polls were taken on July 31st. Quinnipiac poll shows Cruz ahead by 6%. Again, those are not numbers to flaunt. This is a 6% lead for a Republican in Texas. Can you hear any more of a stereotype than a Republican winning in Texas? But for right now, the most recent poll actually shows the race narrowing down to a 1% lead. I do not expect Ted Cruz to win by 1%, but a single-digit margin seems very realistic. Actually, under 5% seems very realistic. Right now, he leads by 5.5%, but that's pretty much old polls boosting up his numbers. Right now, Ted Cruz, take the most recent August polls, leads by around 2.5% in the state of Texas. That is a 2.5% lead for a Republican incumbent who has the factor of the incumbency, who ran for president in 2016, overwhelmingly won with Republican support, and a key O'Rourke is even coming close to the Senate race is a starting move for the Democrats, because a lot of people are saying, oh, Texas will never flip. I see that a lot in my videos where I discuss the possibility of Texas flipping. Well, yes, it can. When you look at the, number one, not just the approval rating, it's not just polling numbers. If you look at the way that demographics are changing, wow, Real Clear Politics loves to refresh. But other than that, if you look at the way that demographics are changing, they definitely favor the Democratic Party. You cannot deny that. With Latino voters, a lot of people say, oh, Texas Latinos are less conservative than the ones in Florida or California. Or, that's not really that good of an argument. In the most recent poll taken by NBC News, Beto O'Rourke leads amongst Latinos by 11%. Okay? Obviously, they aren't too conservative if a Democrat is leading by 11%, and also they are going to be the key way that Democrats are possibly going to win in the state of Texas. Again, a lot of people think that it's impossible, but you can read up on articles about it. A simple Google search, is Texas going to turn blue? reading a number of those articles that actually show evidence where Texas could possibly be going blue. I'm not saying it's going to be a solid blue state. I'm not saying it's going to be likely or leaning blue state, but it is possible in the near future. And 2018 may not be that year. 2020 may not be that presidential year, but 2022, 2024, Republicans from Texas should start looking out. And for right now, Beto O'Rourke is doing pretty well. I mean, polling at around 40% and Ted Cruz at 45.9%. Again, Ted Cruz still in the lead. Yes, I'm not taking that away from him. I still expect him to win this Senate race here, but the fact a Democrat in Texas is doing very well is something to note. And the RCP rating right now for this race is leaning for the GOP from likely, which was previously safe. So overall, Ted Cruz isn't doing too well. These new polling numbers are not good news for the GOP, but I'm not going to say that the Democrats are going to eventually win this race in 2018. Once more polling data comes out in terms of fundraising, in terms of polling, in terms of the approval rating of Ted Cruz, when the third quarter poll numbers come out in the morning consult, then we will start discussing it a lot more. But as of right now, Ted Cruz is possibly going to win this Senate race here, but don't completely discount the Democrat at all. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all tomorrow.